Hey there, welcome to the latest episode of Hiker Homily. This time we're going to be talking about a specific thing. You hear me all the time talking about how you need to do prep and research before even day hikes is a good idea, especially if it's a place you've never been to before, if you don't know anything about it. So we're going to talk about a specific thing, which is the season of the year, because it will matter for lots of places, and there's various reasons why it matters. So, as usual, trying to keep it brief, but knowing my tendency to blabber like I'm doing now, but we're going to try. But so the season makes a difference. For example, latest hike I did, I posted about a week ago or so on the channel. The latest hike I did was to Brushy Peak, which is over near Livermore, California. It's in the Diablo Mountain Range. Basically, they're foothills, all around Mount Diablo. And that is one you would not want to do in the middle of the summer when there is high heat in that area. If you do any research, you'll figure out that, okay, this area gets pretty hot in the summertime. And except for when you get all the way up to the pass of Brushy Peak to go back down again on the Brushy Peak Loop Trail, there is no shade cover anywhere on that trail except for that one spot. So that's an almost 4-mile hike, no shade cover. You're not going to want to do that in direct sun. You're just not going to want to. The other thing you might want to take into account seasonal wise, again using Brushy Peak as an example, is because it is in California, in the foothills, semi-coastal foothills, right there by Mount Diablo. In the summertime, they're all probably kind of a golden brown. Everything is kind of dry. So if you go in the spring or in the fall after there's been some rain and stuff like that, it's a beautiful hike because everything is going to be green. In the springtime, you're looking at probable wildflowers. There are already some up there when I went. And on a year where there's like any kind of a super bloom and stuff, it's going to be gorgeous. So that kind of reason matters. You want to know what the conditions are. You're going to research those things and then pick the best season. There are quite a few hikes I do want to do that are in that particular mountain range, and I'm probably going to avoid them in the middle of the summer. The only other way around that is if you live nearby, you get out there early in the morning before the peak heat starts. For me, they're about an hour and a half drive away, so I could still do that and things like that. But of course, if you're a little further away, that's going to be tougher. So you're going to want to study that kind of thing to try to avoid the heat, and seasons matter for that kind of thing. Other stuff, certain trails, especially when you're talking backpacking, especially in the mountains, certain trails are under the snow. And if you're not a fan of hiking in the snow or camping in the snow, you're going to need to research that kind of thing because you're not going to want to go there in wintertime. Other ones in the early spring, they're still covered in snow, or it's runoff season and so the rivers are tough to cross. It's kind of stress, or everything's very wet and muddy. That makes for tough camping and things like that. If you are bothered by that kind of thing, I know some hikers, they'll take whatever they get. They don't care. But if you are bothered by that kind of thing, that is another reason why you're going to check on things. You're going to figure out what is the best season to hit certain areas. Oh, early in the summer would be perfect for this because you're going to have water flow from runoff still, but it's not going to be so much that rivers are a pain to cross, but you're going to have plenty of water sources. It's going to be beautiful and green. Oh, but this time of year, there's not going to be any water. It's going to be this. And like I say, for places like Brushy Peak and things like that, in those particular mountains, oh, I don't want to go there in the high heat. There's no coverage, there's no shade, that kind of stuff. So you're going to want to look for the conditions. The other reason is different places can have very different weather depending on the season. You don't ever want to go certain places in the fall because that's when they get most of their rain, or it's just constant. It gets really cold then. So yeah, it just kind of makes sense, right? That's part of your your prep and your research is you're going to research that kind of thing. You need to know what the average, it's going to be tough for you to predict exactly what it's going to be like on the day you decide to hike that area, but you can research enough. There's information out there where you can research enough and get, on an average, the best time with the best weather is springtime for this area, or the fall. Maybe some places the summer, the early summer, midsummer, perfect for this area, that kind of thing. I know we have found, at least camping wise and a little bit of the hiking and stuff like that, that going here on the West Coast anyway, going out to the coastline in the fall, like around Thanksgiving time, is fantastic. More than likely you're going to have really good weather. In the summertime, actually you're looking at a lot of fog conditions, which kind of messes up views, right, and things like that, makes things kind of cold and wet when you're trying to hike. In the summertime, you're going to get a lot of foggy conditions early in the day all the way until later in the afternoon and things like that. Whereas you're not going to get as much of that during the fall season. The conditions are different in that region of California. And I got to be 100% honest, I don't know about the East Coast, if it's the same kind of thing, if the coastline works the same way. But that's what you're going to consider. You're going to consider those weather considerations, when is the better weather and things like that. And then you're going to consider when it is best for things like shade coverage and things like that. Does this thing have lots of shade? Okay, then it's not going to matter if it's hot and things like that. You're going to be able to get in there and get in the shade and stuff like that. Is there no shade in this trail? You don't want to pick a hot time of year. That kind of common sense, right? So, real brief. That's an easy one, right? Shouldn't be controversial. Who knows with the hiking crowd? My fellow hikers, they love to argue about anything. But that should, that's pretty non-controversial, right? That should be part of your basic research. I know that alone is controversial. There's a lot of people out there who are absolutely anti-prep. You should just get your stuff and go. Do your thing. Nobody's stopping you. I don't advocate that. I just don't. So there you go. So any comments, questions? You had any experience with that kind of thing? You either made the wrong choice or the right choice and you had good luck on a hike, or, that was a tough one because of this. I didn't check the season or the coverage or water, things like that. Let me know as usual. Comments down below as always. Anywhere else this gets posted, you can comment on it. And of course, always at hikingforhealthca@gmail.com. And as always, also, I thank you very much for watching and hope to see you next time.